Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is Forged from Iron. I'm Gatesy. I am joined. No, I always get that wrong. By that man there, Mr. Andrew Miles. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Gatesy. I'm very well. This weather is just making me want to be in the pub 24/7. Is that bad?
No, I don't think so. Depends on the pub, though. Some pubs are
Yeah,
better than others.
yeah. The pub we was in on Sunday was all right, wasn't it? It was all right, I
Yeah,
suppose.
weren't bad. I mean, the manager was sort of reasonably, chatty and friendly. I think he supported West
Yeah.
Ham actually.
Oh yeah, I remember asking him a couple of questions actually.
Hmm.
Poor sod.
Actually, he looked familiar. He looked vaguely familiar.
I saw him yesterday. That was it. I saw him yesterday.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, you'll have to tell me more about that episode.
I will.
So we've also joined, ladies and gentlemen, by Steve 50. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, Gatesy. Enjoying the beautiful weather. Just makes me want to be on the golf course, actually. Not in the pub. I'll drink after I've played golf. But yeah, very well, thank you, mate.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. And also from Ireland, Cahill McKernan. How are you, sir?
I'm grand. Our pub's open at the start of the week, so I'm still recovering from the first night out. I haven't gone out since, and I don't know. I've worked the next few days, so I won't be going out for a while. But recovering from that one still.
You're young enough. You'll cope with it. It's when you get to us
Yeah.
old farts age that it really hits you for six. So you'll be fine.
Oh,
You'll be
yes.
fine. So, gentlemen, we are here to discuss the news regarding the Super Six teams from the Premier League. It was announced today that they were given. It's actually 3.67 million if you break it down each. It's 22 million pounds. It works out to 3.67 million each if you want exactitude, but just for simplicity's sake, approximately 3.5 million each. My question's real simple. Is that punishment ruthless or toothless? So, gentlemen,
Where do you begin?
discuss. You guys in the live chat as well. Please feel free to jump
Where do you begin
Who's-
on that one,
in.
Gatesy?
Cahill,
I mean,
sorry. If go for it, Steve. Go for it.
yeah, where do you begin on that one, Gatesy? I mean, I
Oh,
tried to work out what it would mean for me in my financial position to have that sort of fine. Well, I reckon it would be about £1. It would be like driving down the motorway at 100 miles an hour, being pulled over by the police, given £1 fine, and
mhm,
saying you're a very naughty boy and no points on your license.
yeah.
I mean, there is about as much deterrent there, or it's about as ruthless as a dead sheep, isn't it? I mean, it is absolutely pathetic. I worked it out once. Sheikh Mansour, I'll try and say it again. Sheikh Mansour is worth $500 billion. Now, at 1% interest, if you start the clock at midnight on Monday, by 11 o'clock in the morning, he has covered every single Manchester, all of Manchester City's costs at 1% by 11 o'clock in the morning. And you're going to tell me that 3.5 million fine is going to bother him? It's small change. If you're worth $500 billion, $3.5 million to him is like 10p to you and I. It's ridiculous. And so the Premier League, in their infinite wisdom, have said you've been very bad boys. I'll fine you 10p. There's no deterrent at all, is it? They'll
It's
just
less
go
than
and
pathetic.
you'll go and do it again because,
Yep.
well, there's no consequence. There's absolutely
No.
zero consequence. And well, I hate to say this now, the Premier League get all they deserve. To be honest, if they do break away and they do make a Super League, the Premier League get what they deserve. It's disgusting. That's my calm and reasoned opinion on it all. But that fine, as I said before, is as frightening as a dead sheep.
Yeah. An Irish Tommy makes the point, not only is it paltry, but I'll bet they're allowed to pay in instalments. I mean, it wouldn't shock me, Tom. It really wouldn't. That's yeah. I'll tell you my opinions at the end, but you probably know where I'm going to go ahead of time. Cahill, tell me your thoughts, sir. Is this a punishment?
No, it's all pointless. Like, I don't think they should have even posted about giving them a fine like that. It means nothing. It's nothing. It's just I can't say I'm disappointed because it's exactly what I expected. We were talking about this while it was happening, and we all said this there. It's just going to be a slap on the wrist. And I wouldn't even call that a slap on the wrist. They're gonna. I don't know. It's hard to describe because it's just bullshit, really. Like, what is 3.5 million to them? It's nothing at all. It's only gonna go downhill, really. There maybe a few years, but things like this will keep happening, and if they know the Premier League themselves aren't going to take action against them because the fear of losing them, really, that they've the sort of higher ground now, and it's a big issue.
Yeah, I'm just staggered by it. I just don't understand it. Don't understand it. Now, Mark, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to have my say at the end, and I do touch on this. So stay tuned. Milesy.
Yeah.
3.67 million per. That's a punishment from the Premier League in association with the Football Association. Discuss.
Well, all that's just a couple of nights with David Sullivan's wife, isn't it?
I think it's probably yeah. No comment.
No comment. Sorry, I had to get a joke in the situation because the whole situation is a joke, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day. Do you know what made me laugh the most is they go, if you do this again, you'll get a £20 million fine and a 30-point deduction. Yep. Oh, that's nice. That's nice, isn't it? So when they break away for good, they'll be getting points deduction when they're not even going to be in the fucking league.
I turned around I turned around on a couple of social media platforms that are associated with West Ham, and I said, "Hang on a minute, when they signed up for this," and I'll tell you what, I'll just get it up here.
Sorry, I didn't see Jake's.
So everybody can see this. So that is essentially the rule that the clubs broke. Rule L9 of the Premier League. You except with the prior written approval of the board. During the season, a club shall not enter or play its senior men's first team in any competitions other than the Champions League, the Europa League, the FA Cup, Community Shield, Football League Cup, or competition sanctioned by the county associations of which it is a member. The moment they signed up for the European Super League, gentlemen, they broke that rule. Whether they played a fixture in the European Super League or not is irrelevant. Once they signed that agreement for the 23 years to play in the European Super League was broken. No ifs, no buts. And here we are, £3.67 million fine each. Okay. That's not a punishment, is it? Now, you actually
the intention
think
was enough that they should have been properly punished?
Now, Mark mentioned it earlier. Carlos Tevez. Cast your mind back to 2007. 2006-2007 season. So we had Tevez and Mascherano play a fundamental part in the season, the escape and all the rest of it. We know the story. Now, I'm not going to go into the compensation that Sheffield United got, but because that was a decision by the legal system, that was a decision by the courts to hand Sheffield United compensation. So that's not the Premier League. The Premier League gave us of £5.5 million in 2007. Now I'm just going to get this up on screen so people can see this. So 5.5 million in 2007 today is £8,030,000. Okay, it's 8 million quid. It's 8 million quid by today's money.
Yeah.
So they've been fined in 2020 3.5 million or 3.67 million for essentially just sort of signing an agreement that would essentially have ripped the heart out of English football, and they're getting done just over 3.5 mil. Am I, is this some sort of joke?
No.
No, you're completely right, Gatesy. But what I think the Premier League have done here is they've shown they are completely toothless. And part of the problem they will now have is, these clubs might not have joined the Super League, but there's no consequence for their behaviour. It's like when you're bringing up children. If they do something that is inappropriate, there has to be consequence because that's the only way they learn. And I'm not talking about draconian consequences for kids. I'm talking about meaningful consequences like you haven't got your phone for a month, something like that. It's if you come out with a punishment, it's got to have an impact, and this will have none. They'll just go, oh well, doesn't matter if we do it again, because they know full well if we try this again, well, okay, we might get a £20 million fine, peanuts again. But we also know they're going to bend over backwards to keep us in the Premier League. Yeah. I said when this first came out, because I think that was the first time I came on the channel, when the Super League broke, and I had quite a rant, and I seem to remember saying, I want them driven out of existence. I think what they've done is disgraceful. And what the Premier League have now done is just slap the supporters of the Big Six and every other club in the face. It's like it's a bit like being slapped in the face with a wet herring. It's insulting. And they have it's actually they have insulted the fans with this. And I just don't think I think the Premier League in doing this have lost a massive amount of credibility because nobody's going to take them seriously anymore. We actually know where the power is, and it is not in the Premier League.
No, it's in those six clubs.
I am appalled. Sport is about competition and people being treated equally, and you do the best you can. Well, they've been fined less than we were in 2007 for making a mistake with Tevez. That didn't endanger football, did it?
Nope.
That was our own stupid fault. I'm appalled. Anyway, rant over. Over to you guys.
Okay, Cahill, your thoughts?
It's as if everyone's forgotten about that this happened. This wasn't that long ago. Like the two clubs that intended to join this played in the Champions League final, and obviously with two clubs playing in it, one of them won it. And before that even happened, there was talks about them being kicked out and other teams being brought in who were kicked out who didn't. It's gone perfectly for the big clubs. They're getting no fines. They get away with everything. It's all just sort of brush it under, and they're getting away with it. But there's nothing anyone could do about it because the fans went out. They were heard. the owners pulled out of it all, and they're still getting away with it. They had the intention. I know they didn't get to go and play a game, and they didn't probably get all their money from it, but they had the intention and signed contracts. I'd say legally, it's not over for them with the contract business. That I'd say with all the money that was, it will have to be there'll be some sort of court cases going on, and it just seems so sort of just it's passed by, and there's been no consequences for it.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with a single word you've just said, Carol. And we've just been joined by Irish Tommy. How are you, sir? I dare
Very
say
well.
you've got a bit to say on this.
Yeah. There's two things really I suppose I've taken from this. One, I know you guys have already touched on, so I've been watching, is that not surprisingly, we know now where the power lies in football in England, and it's not the FA or the Premier League. It's the big clubs. They're in charge now. They call the shots. When do you ever see the guilty party in anything, like say the court, a guilty party being able to negotiate their own punishment?
Yes.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And that tells you everything you need to know about where the power is. It's with the big clubs, and they've been exercising it as is their want. But, it doesn't surprise me in the least, if I'm completely honest.
No.
So that's the first thing I took from it. The second thing I took from it, actually, is that as fans, they kind of have us over a barrel in a way, because we love the game so much. We have so much passion for it, whether it's our own club or the Premier League in general. And they know that they can kind of do more or less anything they want, and we're not going to do a thing about it. We'll whine about it on Twitter for a while, and on Facebook and other social media platforms. We'll come on and do these shows all over the country. These shows are going on YouTube, these live streams from various fan bases complaining. But ultimately, they know we're not going to do anything about it whatsoever. We're still going to buy the merchandise. We're still going to go to the games. We're still going to watch Premier League all next season. Nothing will change. All that'll happen is we'll whine about it for a while, and then it'll die down, and we'll all move on. And they're correct. That's exactly what will happen. There are no consequences for them for this. None whatsoever. So when these clubs decided to sign up for this breakaway European Super League, they knew this. They knew even if it didn't pan out, punishments were going to be laughable. Fans weren't going to do anything about it. There was a little spurt of indignation from fans. You saw it at Chelsea. You saw it at Old Trafford. It didn't last long. Died down. It's all gone now. So they're in a privileged position where they can dictate terms essentially, and get very favourable outcomes from the FA and the Premier League. And they know the fans are just going to kind of piss and moan about it for a while, and then just get on with it and still go to games, still buy the merch. So they're in a great position. They're in a great position where they're essentially untouchable, really.
Yeah. No. Again, not a single word I can disagree with there, Tommy. With regret, you are 100% bang on. Andy?
The thing what's doing me is I was just flicking through because I was laughing at some of the comments earlier. So when Sky announced it on Sky Sports Premier League Twitter, obviously you get different fan bases coming on, and then you see the so-called Big Six fans just laughing, going, "Oh, it's only 0.004% of our transfer budget." Like crime, like when you see comments like that as well, that's what winds you up. And the thing what does me in as well, it's like, oh, the fans don't deserve it. Well, what about Bury fans, Luton, who got a 30-point deduction all them years ago? They didn't deserve it. They still got it. So what fucking difference is it? No difference.
What are you supposed to do?
The difference is power.
Them?
The difference is power. That's the difference. Bury have no power.
Yeah. Do you know what would be great though? But I can't see it happening. Is even if 3 Premier League clubs go, we're not playing them. We're not playing the top 6 until something else is done. But I can't see
Nothing
anyone
would
else.
happen, Andy. You know that.
Yeah.
Nothing would
Well,
happen.
no,
It
if
would be...
you know what would happen, we'll get the points deduction and they'll get away
Yeah.
scot-free.
Exactly.
That's what will happen.
Exactly. The tail wags the dog, mate.
And like what we mentioned off air before we went live, and Steve mentioned it. I saw a few of them comments. Fair play to Gary Neville. I've always been a fan of him anyway, and he's disgusted with the punishment as well. I'm not saying Gary Neville's going to make a different compared to the likes of Danny Murphy and people like that who are sitting there shit scared and not saying nothing. But like you said, they've got the power, and nothing's going to get done unless Uefa do anything. The Premier League's certainly not going to do anything.
Well, they haven't had, to the best of my knowledge, Uefa haven't actually given any of these clubs, the 12 clubs, obviously in its entirety, but if we're just including these 6 clubs from England, none of them, to the best of my knowledge, have been given any punishment or sanction by Uefa. So this, as far as UEFA's concerned, it's just like, yeah, fine, we move on, and so this is as far as it's going to go. I'm just going to go and read you guys. This is the joint statement by the Premier League and the FA. Now, this is the bit I have a problem with. So, The 6 clubs involved in proposals to form a European Super League have today acknowledged once again that their actions were a mistake and have reconfirmed their commitment to the Premier League and the future of the English game. They have wholeheartedly apologised to their fans, fellow clubs, and the Premier League and the FA. This is the bit that kills me. As a gesture of goodwill, the clubs have collectively agreed to make a contribution of £22 million, which will go towards the good of the game, including new investment in support for fans, grassroots football, and community programs. Now, I'm going to stop there. Gesture of goodwill. Okay. What's another term for a gesture of goodwill, right? Act of kindness. Now, I'm looking at this on a definitions page. Another word for a gesture of goodwill or a statement is an act of kindness. And underneath it, there's a load of other words you could use. Benevolence, charity, courtesy, favour, goodwill, assistance, blah, 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 blah. Nowhere amongst that, gentlemen, can I see the word punishment.
No.
It's just not there.
Oh.
This is not a punishment. This is not a punishment. I can't even say it's a Toothless punishment. It's not even that. It's an absolute joke of a situation that's unfolding before our very eyes. And, like I say, a gesture of goodwill. Now, a gesture of goodwill. In my job, I'm a domestic appliance engineer. Okay. So a gesture of goodwill to me is something, I'm in a situation where the customer wants something done that fundamentally, as far as their insurance, their guarantee, their warranty, that by the letter of that law, they're not actually entitled to. But maybe they've had a few issues and whatever, and I can kind of see their point of view as if I was in their shoes, and I as a gesture of goodwill, I don't have to do it, but as a gesture of goodwill,
yeah,
okay, I'll give you that part as and we'll call it quits, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
This is a gesture of goodwill. I thought this was meant to be a punishment. And the thing that kills me is that where they turn around and say that they've agreed to it. It's that's not a punishment. I mean, if I got done for speeding and I'm standing in the dock and I've been done 3 times and got 3 sets of 3 points apiece, and I'm now getting done a full, and now the judge is turning round to me and saying, right, we're going to take your license off you and we're going to give you £1,000 fine. The judge doesn't then turn around to me and say, do you agree to that, Mr. Gates?
No.
So it's not a punishment. Nonsense. Peach, talk to me.
It's absolute bollocks, dog. How do you mean, man? It's absolute bollocks. Like, did you see Independent? Like, Independent came out with the article today saying that if this happens again, Like, if this happens again, it's already fucking happening, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, if this happens again, like, if this happens again, they're gonna give like 25 million fee that they gotta pay. They're gonna get deducted 30 points, and then they gotta give 22 million to like grassroots side football. Do that now. Why are they waiting for round 2, man? Round 1's already started and they ain't doing nothing. Like, oh, and they say, oh, it's because we made a mistake. Well, why couldn't like Alan Pardew or whatever say, oh, we made a mistake with Mascherano and Tevez? Like, it's not even a slap. Like, see that? That's harder than what they got, dog. It's like a flick in the ear, man.
It's a feather across the wrist. Man. It's not even a slap. It's a feather across the wrists.
That's what I'm saying, dog.
That's what it is. And here's the thing, guys, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Where they broke Rule L9 and they were turning around and saying, basically, if you go to this European Super League, you cannot compete in the Premier League. I'm right there, yes?
Yes.
Now, to the best of my knowledge, nothing has fundamentally changed in the Premier League's rules other than this thing where they're turning around and saying, if you do it again, the fine will be 25 million and you will get a 30-point deduction. Okay?
They already did it. They already did it. Do it in, man. Like they're putting it under the rug, man. Like,
but here's the thing, Peach. Here's the thing, Peach. So let me get this straight. You're going to give a 30-point deduction to a team that you're turning around and saying cannot no longer compete in the Premier League.
25-point deduction, 30-point deduction.
Hang on, Peach, wait a minute, Peach. It's a 30-point deduction to a team that they're going to kick out of the Premier League.
I know, but then did you see the new rules?
That's the equivalent. That's the equivalent of taking a driving license.
Did you see the new rules? I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. But like, did you see the new rules? The new rules are like not even top 6. Any team that wants to compete in the Super League, they'll get the same fine. And it's like,
complete.
These men them already done did it. Like, they should have learned their lesson, man. Like, kick them up the backside. Like, make them pay. Give them point deductions, man. Like, who do they think they are? Superman things, man. Fuck that, man.
Can I say something?
No, it really pisses me off, man. It really does, dog. It really does, dog. If you can't tell, Peaches in the building. Rah, rah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I just want to say we need to realise that this fine makes a European Super League more likely to happen in the future than less likely. And I think it paves the way for it to happen at some point. Because if they do it again and they get the same reaction, so what? You know, because I cannot see the Premier League carrying through 20 million fine and 30 points deduction. Should have done
Steve,
it this
as I
time.
said earlier, the rules of the Premier League are clear. If they sign up to this Super League at any point in the future, they are no longer a Premier League club. So why are you giving a 30-point deduction to a team that are no longer going to be a Premier League club by signing up to a European Super League? That is like, as I said earlier, that is like taking a driving license off of a joyrider that never had a driving license in the first place to lose.
Yep. They have flooded.
That's a good analogy. Gates. Yeah, I heard you say it like before. I heard like that. What up, Irish Tommy? Pick yourself up, rude boy. But I heard that, man. Like that's a good analogy, man. Straight up.
But what we've done is, I think we have probably made a European Super League an inevitability in the future.
Yeah. I agree, Steve. Yeah.
And the whole thing about the integrity of the game, well, I'm sorry. You have the Premier League are frightened of losing them. Okay, fair enough. You've just lost them. Not today.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, not a couple of seasons' time, but those clubs will go. because it makes no difference to them.
Yeah, and here's another thing is you're absolutely correct in that, because in the future, if I think they will sign up to an ESL style league again, and I think it'll get off the ground next time. And what do they care about a 30-point deduction when they're guaranteed their place in the Super League, where they're making massive, massive amounts of money? It's for one season. You think they won't take a 30-point hit for one season in the Premier League with the money they'll be getting in the ESL when they qualify it, regardless of where they finish in the Premier League anyway? It's not a deterrent. It's literally all the FA and Premier League have done is confirm to these clubs that they should feel absolutely free to carry on in future with those plans, because nothing whatsoever has been said about them being kicked out of English football. So they'll clearly be allowed to continue in the Premier League. They'll have a 30-point deduction for one season, another paltry fine. This is a green light.
Yeah, it's mad. It's Tommy. It's madness. And then like how like the doors came down on them, like, 72 hours after like we thought of it, we're not gonna do it. So like we're good people now. Piss off. Yo. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I just want to, I've just looked at something because someone else mentioned it on Twitter as well. So obviously the Man United game getting called off because of the Man United Liverpool game getting called off because of the unsafe thing. Did we get a punishment when we invaded the pitch against Burnley? I think we did, didn't we? We got a nice little punishment.
We did.
Yes, we did get.
Man United fans. Man United got away with no punishment for the protest and the game and everything that got called off. That just fucking. I didn't even realise they didn't even get a fine. They got nothing for what their fans done.
What Tommy said. The tail wags the dog now. The tail wags the dog.
Yes,
That's
sir.
where we're at. You know, the 6 are stronger than the 14. The 6 are stronger than the 14.
If that was us, we would have got done in, dog. We would have got our bottom spanked, dog. Like, honestly, like, we would have got our bottom spanked if that was us, man. But they have, like, some special privilege, man. Like, I don't know what it is, man.
We'd be playing in the conference. If it was us, we'd be in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Premier League and the FA had an opportunity to stomp on the necks of these clubs and to actually really, really hurt these clubs. I mean, give them massive fines, deduct them at least 25 points, maybe more, and tell them in no uncertain terms, if you ever try that again, you will be kicked out of the Premier League and we will go on with 20 other clubs and you can go away to your European Super League and have your fun there, but you will not play in the Premier League. That's what should have happened. And that would have been a deterrent. That would have been a real slapdown. But what we got was farcical.
Yes, it's almost like shame on you, and then shame on me, and it's like they already got shamed on themselves, so they should have been done for it, dog. They're waiting for the shame on me thing. Crazy, man.
I said earlier that to the best of my knowledge, there was no punishment that was handed out by UEFA. I'm going to have to make a slight correction there. According to what I'm reading here, there was. It was a package of, quotes, reintegration measures is what UEFA called it. Now, here's the thing. The 12 clubs agreed to pay a collective, I'll put it in pound sterling, £12.9 million between the 12 of them. Just over £1 million each.
That's a fiver for them, dog. That's a fiver for them, dog. That's a fight for them, dog. Come on, man.
There's no surprise there either. I mean, look, UEFA almost lost these 6 clubs, and so rather than put these clubs in a position of weakness with UEFA, it's put them in a position of strength. So now UEFA are going to be sucking up to these clubs to try and make sure that they're as happy as possible in their Champions League, you know, and to make sure that they don't
want to leave again. So you'll actually see the prize money for these clubs going up as well.
Well, they've
Yeah.
already
You
done
see
that,
the
haven't they,
prize
Tom?
money
'Cause they've
for
reformatted it as of 2024, haven't they? More teams
Yeah.
Yeah, and
involved, and more money, and
yeah,
so they've
it's
got
to
what they
appease.
wanted.
Yeah, it's to appease these super clubs and to try. UEFA are doing everything they desperately can to make sure that they don't want to leave the UEFA's bed. And so they'll be sucked up to by the FA, they'll be sucked up to by the Premier League, and they'll be sucked up to by UEFA. They have all the power now.
There is one hope, actually. I don't hold out much hope here, but there is one hope. When it happened, the government went for it. They're currently doing a review on football. And the government, now we're not part of Europe, can bring in whatever legislation they want. That is our one hope, that the government do something in legislation to really tighten it up. I don't think they will, but that's the one recourse we've got left, because everything that's happened so far has been a pile of rubbish.
Still a chance, Pete. It's still a chance.
Yeah, but that's the
Cahill.
only chance you got left now.
Yeah.
Cahill, you've been a little bit quiet over the last few minutes, and obviously you've been hearing the conversations going back and forth. Talk to me. What are your thoughts on like I say, £12.9 million fine amongst the 12 clubs? It works out to 1.075 million per. That's even worse than the Premier League fine.
They've really made a balls of it. Like they're letting all these clubs. UEFA are just sort of. Well, we know UEFA are a wee bit corrupt anyway. They have their own sort of way of doing things, but I don't even know what to say really. It's just there's no shock to it. It's just kind of one of those. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. Sort of stereotypical statement sort of things, because I wouldn't have even expected them to do that much. I thought they just let them away with it, and they've gotten away with it. There is no punishment there at all. There's bloody young lads on more money. Sure, is Callum Hudson-Odoi? He stayed at Chelsea to get 120 grand a week or something like that.
170.
Like these big clubs are playing their young lads stuff like that. So it's that shows you how much money they have. It's really nothing to them.
Yeah, it's a sorry state of affairs when you've got 6 clubs that can basically run roughshod over every other club, not just in the English game, but in the European game.
It's on like the Empire Strikes Back type shit, dog. It's messed up. It's messed up, man. It's like I hate it. I hate it.
See, I remember we talked about it last time, and like the one club who surprised me out of the 6 is Man City. Man City don't need the money. They do.
Neither do Chelsea.
No, but what I mean, sorry, what I was saying is everything what they've done for the community and everything.
Yes.
Like,
no. Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I was getting at. Like they've. Don't get me wrong. Like we would probably be the same position if they took over us. If before Man City, like we would probably be in the same situation, but like we wouldn't agree with it. But what they're doing for the community and stuff like that, I think me personally, I think they were forced to do it, Man City. I'm not saying like if you put a gun to your head, you do it. But out of the 6, I don't think Man City were keen on it.
I heard it was Chelsea and Man City were.
But how? What level of force can you put upon them? Like,
well, yeah.
I don't give a shit.
They still signed it.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is the Man City, what they've done for the community and the money side of it. I'm surprised. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they should be let off because
we done the same with like the blue banks and all them things, dog. Straight up.
I think one of the things you've got to realise is, as outraged as David Sullivan appeared, if he'd been offered the chance, he'd have jumped at it.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I absolutely do not doubt that. But that doesn't make
And-
it right.
I'm not sure what the
Oh,
point
no.
is.
No, sorry. I'm just making a point in general. But the whole thing, they said at the time, this is the death of football. I remember so many people saying this is the death of football. Well, it wasn't, but this fine is, possibly. This is what will kill the game ultimately. I think the point I was making about David Sullivan, Irish, is that we're having a go at all these owners, and our owners are on the right side of it, and we take the moral high ground. And
I'm not speaking
That's
on
good.
behalf of the owners. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. It's nothing to do with
Yeah.
moral high ground. They weren't invited. So it's a moot
Exactly.
point. It's a moot
Exactly.
point. Look, you may well be right. If they'd have been invited, they may have said, yeah, sure. It's a moot point. They weren't invited. It's nothing to do with West Ham. It's only to do with the 6 clubs who were invited, who took up the offer. What, Sullivan might have done in some other scenario that never happened, you may well be right, but I don't. It's pointless talking about it. It didn't happen. Like, this is about fans. This is about the disgust that us fans have now for where this game is going, and how the power in the game now has shifted away from the governing bodies and towards a small clutch of clubs who run, not surprisingly, on self-interest and not in the interest of the game. The whole point of a governing body is to protect the interest of the sport as a whole. And now we've lost that position. And now we've got a small cabal of clubs who want to change the game and run it for their own benefit. And something has to be done at some point, because they will try it again. They haven't suddenly changed their tune. They haven't suddenly kind of decided, we were so wrong. Why did we do that? Now we're going to put all of our interests into the betterment of the game as a whole. That's not going to happen. They will try it again. They will still want to have their own way. And as things stand, they will get their own way. So something has to happen. I can't remember who said it earlier. Was it you, Steve? Maybe you did that. What we need now is an intervention from outside the sport, government level, where we start to put a certain amount of control into the hands of the fans. Because now we're the only ones left now. The clubs can't do it, and the governing bodies can't do it. It's only the fans now that can protect this game going forward from the greed of the powerful few. And that has to happen now. That's one thing that's very clear. There's only one way forward, and that is putting enough of the power in the hands of the fans to protect our game, because we're now the only ones who can and who will.
Yeah, and I think actually that should be for all clubs. I'm sure that's what you're saying, Tommy, but it wouldn't be enough just to put the power in the hands of the fans for those 6 clubs. It's got to be for all clubs.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean, yeah, at all clubs.
Yeah, because that way you're actually going to get a discourse from people who care about the football and want to see it get better. I can't disagree with anything you said there, actually, because yes, government intervention and the German model where fans own 51%.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to that because Luke Legends is on here saying we can't own a club. Luke, go away and Google the German model, what happens over there. Fans absolutely do have a say in Germany and how their clubs are run. It's not the same as owning a club in the same way that Sullivan owns West Ham. But if you go away and Google the German model, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, is it too late for us to adopt that, though, Tommy? Have we gone so far down the track? Is it too entrenched now that we can't go back?
No, not necessarily. I think if you ask any physicist, nothing in the universe is impossible. All you need is time and pressure. And if you have pressure and you keep that pressure up for long enough, you'll get the results. It's just that the will has to be there, and that's my only worry, is that we won't get enough fans putting enough pressure on for long enough to make it happen. If that pressure does come on, and enough of it for long enough, we will see change. But it's not easy to organize that kind of thing. It's not easy to get that kind of pressure from enough fans for long enough that would make actual real change. But it can be done.
Yeah, I agree, actually, because no matter how far something's gone, you can bring it back. But the further it goes, the more effort it takes to bring it back to where you want it to be. And it would take a colossal amount of effort. But if we let it go further, it's going to be a damn sight harder in 3 or 4 years' time to do it.
Okay. I see what you're saying, but let's just say the Spotify owner, today bidding 2 billion for Arsenal, So that means Arsenal will have to own 1.1 billion. The fans will. Where are they going to get 1.1 billion from?
Nowhere.
To own the 51%.
Nowhere.
Same as Man United.
Well, actually,
Man United were 4 billion.
Yeah, actually, my son was saying that Arsenal on the stock exchange were valued at 3 billion, so 2 billion isn't enough to buy them. I know it's
3 billion.
Yeah, that's according to James, and he actually, when I want those pieces of information, I ask him because he's into it. The only way it could happen, Andy, the only way I could see it happen is for the government to invest in fans to get into football. Because the likes of you and me, and Gatesy and Irish and Peach and Cather, if you put us out with all the other fans, you can't raise that sort of money.
No way.
It's just not there. But the only way I could see it happening is for the government to say, right, okay, we'll bankroll it. It means that much to us. I doubt that will happen, but that's the only option I could see.
Right, we're coming towards the end of the stream now, gentlemen. And the original question was punishment, Ruthless or Toothless. I think we've unanimously come to our conclusion. This has been a totally toothless punishment. It's just beyond a joke. But I thank you.
Sorry, you couldn't even call it a slap on the wrist.
No. As I say, it's a feather across the wrist. It's not a slap. It's a feather across the wrist. It's the merest
laughable.
Brush. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But Tommy, thank you very much for jumping on indeed, my friend. Much appreciate your time as always.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure as always.
No problem. Oh, and Peach has dropped out. Oh, I was about to say thank you to him, and he's cleared off. Cahill, again, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Cheers, Gatesy.
No worries. And Steve as well. Same to you, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Gatesy. Thanks very much for having us.
And my co-pilot for the night, Andy. Thanks for your help as well.
Pleasure. Got to go and do my homework to finish my final report for tomorrow.
Got to be done. Got to be done. Before we go, guys, this is the usual shout out. This banner is in the description below YouTube and Facebook, the description below. You can copy it, paste it onto all your social media platforms. Please do, because this little girl needs our help. You've got the Just Giving there. Isla needs our assistance. You know the story. She's got neuroblastoma. There's no treatment in this country. They've got to find the money for the treatment, the flights, everything, the whole 9 yards. So they need all our help, guys. So all I'm asking you to do, at the very least, is to put this on your social media platforms. As I say, it's in the description on YouTube and Facebook. Copy and paste, so much the better. Thank you very much indeed for doing that, and we appreciate your time and attention. Peach, I'm just about to end the stream there, mate. As I say to the others, thanks very much for coming on. Much appreciate your time as always.
Milesy's in the building. Milesy's in the building. Rah, rah, rah. Rah. Big up Irish Tommy all day, every day lying. How you mean? Big up yourself too. Gatesy, trust me, man. You'll get that. You'll get that intro like when you come on the show, dog. Don't even sweat it. Trust me.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. And all you guys in the live chat, thank you indeed, very much indeed, for your contribution as well. We couldn't do this show without you. And as I say, you got the ticker at the bottom. Get in touch with us on any of those platforms, no problem at all. And as usual, guys, it would be very much appreciated if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of any new content as and when it is uploaded by Duke or myself. I'm going to hit the credits and then end the broadcast there. Gentlemen, only one thing left to say. Milesy?
Come on, you
We are fucking
Come on, you
massive.
Irons. Stay safe, boys.